So it has been a little bit over 2 years and 113 videos since I first started this YouTube channel. So let me break down kind of my growth trajectory in the past 2 years since I started my channel. So I've created my very first video back in May of 2021. That's when I officially started my channel. It took me 10 months to hit my first 500 subscribers, then another 6 months to reach 1,000 subscribers. So it took me a total of 1 year and 4 months to hit 1,000 subscribers, get monetized. And then it took me another 7 months to make it to 1,500 subscribers. Another way to kind of break this down that might be a little easier to digest is that after a year I had 846 subscribers, and after 2 years I had just about 1,600 subscribers. So you could actually say my growth slowed down a little bit in the second year that I've had my channel. And I kind of debated making this video, but ultimately I decided that it was really interesting and important to me to share sort of the unglamorous side of growing on YouTube, kind of talk about what it really takes to start a YouTube channel from scratch and grow at a slower rate, at a more realistic rate, because 9 out of 10 people that start a YouTube channel, their growth is going to look a lot more like mine than it does Katie Yu or Kelly Stamps. So I want to share some real advice on how I've been able to grow my channel up till this point, because I have gotten monetized. I have seen growth, even if it's been slow and steady. But I also want to share advice on how I was able to stay persistent even when the numbers weren't there to motivate me, even when things were slow, and also how I've been able to maintain my sanity during my time on YouTube. So let's dive into the unglamorous sides of being a small YouTuber trying to grow a channel and what that really entails. First things first, starting a YouTube channel requires sacrifices. This is something that I heard from Catherine Manning that is stuck in my brain like frickin' glue, because it is so true. Are you done? Thank you. Okay. Well, most people are spending their weekends getting some much needed R&R, or melting in front of the television, or drinking their faces off. You'll be waking up on Saturday morning, putting on real person clothes, and saying to yourself, all right, like it's time to frickin' hustle. Essentially, your evenings and your weekends become work time. They become the time for your basically second job. And this is just something that you have to be willing to do to grow on YouTube, to sustain a YouTube channel. There's going to be a period where you still have your 9 to 5, or you're still in school and you're hustling on this thing that you want to be, you know, your full-time situation, or maybe not, maybe you're just doing it for fun, but still. And that overlap is intense because you're basically juggling 2 full-time jobs at the same time. And it's nothing to sneeze at. This sometimes means that you might have more of a sparse social calendar, or you might have to edit instead of hanging out with your boyfriend sometimes, or maybe you have to wake up earlier, or you're staying up a little late sometimes with the screen lighting up your face, finishing an edit on a video, though I don't recommend that. I'm trying to work on not doing that myself. But the point here just is that it does require sacrifices. It requires being really strategic, finessing your schedule, finding time in the little gaps of the evenings and the weekends. A lot of times it can lead to feeling like a lot of your waking hours are consumed by this sort of hustle or some kind of work. Ultimately, I think it's worth it. The sense of purpose and moving towards something is worth it in my eyes, but it is something to keep in mind, and I don't think everyone's built for it, to be honest with you. The next sort of, I guess, requirement for starting on YouTube from scratch is that you need to be dedicated without losing your sanity. I think dedication is so important. You should always be striving to improve, but it's a really careful balance, because when you really want this thing, when you're really like passionate and excited about starting on YouTube, it can be really easy to let all the other aspects of your life kind of fall on the back burner, and things can start to fall apart a little bit if you're not giving them attention. Just make sure that you don't let this whole YouTube thing consume you, because like I have insinuated, this is a long-term game. So if you burn yourself out right away, or if you go too hard and the rest of your life starts to crumble, you're not going to have that longevity that you really need to grow on the platform, because like I said, 2 years and I'm still only at 1,600 subscribers, so it's a long time. It takes a while to grow. It's also important to remember that your YouTube channel is so personal and it's a reflection of you. So when you're not doing well, it's gonna show. Versus when you are doing well, your audience is gonna connect with you more when you have that good energy about yourself. So taking care of yourself is actually going to benefit you on YouTube for sure, so that you can bring that best version of yourself to your videos. It's important to make sure that your relationships, your health, and your work are all in a good place. And it's also okay to recognize when you need to prioritize those things and be okay with taking breaks from YouTube when you need to. It's not gonna like long-term kill your growth to take a week off when you need it. So don't be scared to give yourself those breaks and make sure that the rest of your life is a-okay. The next kind of harsh reality, unglamorous truth of being a small YouTuber is that you won't see money for a while. In 2 years, I've made a grand total of $100 from my channel so far. Considering I bought a camera and mic for YouTube, my channel's actually still in the red technically, and I don't think that that is uncommon. As everyone who talks about this subject says, YouTube is not a get-rich-quick scheme. No sustainable, fulfilling, money-making endeavor is really a get-rich-quick scheme. Things take time. We are sold so many lies on the internet about what it takes to make money, and I think the biggest, most toxic belief is that it should be fast and easy. It's not fast and easy. It takes time, so don't get discouraged if it's not immediately lucrative. That will come down the line, but you're not gonna see that money for a long time. Income definitely grows differently for different creators, but I would suggest going into your YouTube channel with the expectation that you're in it for the long term and that you don't immediately expect to see results or validation. Also, like, don't expect to be able to go full time in like a year. That's just not really how it plays out for most people. I definitely feel like when I started on YouTube, I knew it was gonna take me time to make money. Like, I never really had that false belief that I'd be pulling in cash in like 2 months. But I did have this idea that once I was monetized, I was gonna be getting paychecks for $500 or $1,000 because that's what I was seeing in other people's, you know, paycheck videos. I was watching creators like Alexis Eldridge or Catherine Manning who were making hundreds of dollars very quickly after getting monetized. That's not how my income growth happened for me. And despite being monetized for like 9 months at this point, I've only actually received one payout because I'm not making enough money every single month to get a paycheck. That's how my YouTube income has been going so far. And it's not that sort of crazy, exciting, exponential growth that we're used to seeing, but that's been the reality for me. And I think it's important when you're going into being a creator to know that it can take time to build. Now that we've kind of talked a little bit about the realities of being a small creator, I want to go ahead and get into some more specific advice for beginner creators on how to grow your channel from complete scratch and just some like more recent strategies that I feel like are helping me to accelerate my growth a little bit more recently, as well as just a little bit of love and encouragement, because I think we could all use a little bit of that. Okay, so let's talk advice. First sort of thing that I want to put out there, and this is a framework that Ali Abdaal, I think, came up with, or at least he talks about, and it is get going, get good, get smart. Those are basically the stages that he describes for growing a YouTube channel. So what does this mean? Basically, in the get going stage, the only thing that you have to think about is starting. Like literally no rules, no expectations, no anything. All you have to do is frickin' start. But I think it's important to not just stay in that stage. Like I think there are a lot of people that feel like because they've started and are consistent that they automatically deserve growth. And I don't really think that that's true, because I think if you expect long-term growth on the platform and want your videos to do well, you need to also focus on improving and providing good quality content. And that's where the next stage comes in. So once you get going, you want to work on getting good. This basically just means marginally trying to improve your videos every single time you create one. It's important not to get overwhelmed here, because I remember getting so frustrated so often when I was starting out, when my audio didn't sound good enough, or I couldn't get the color grading right, or my thumbnails just looked like crap. Like I would get so frustrated by not meeting my like perfectionist standards. So it's important to allow this this stage to stretch over as much time as it needs to. Some people just have a knack for editing, or all of this YouTube stuff comes very naturally, and for others it takes years to actually get good at the craft. So I think the important thing here is to just focus on marginal improvements in maybe one area of your videos every time you create. Maybe one week you up your thumbnails, or you learn a new editing strategy, or you get a microphone and improve your audio. Like, just tiny improvements. Over time, your videos are going to look and feel completely different from these little changes that you're making. Don't let perfectionism stop you from putting out content. You should be consistent and focusing on quantity while just trying to make little tiny improvements every time. And something that I think is genuinely underrated that can be extremely helpful for this stage is just looking at what other creators are doing. The answers are there. There's really no secrets or like any secret recipe when it comes to YouTube, because we can see what content is working on the platform. One of the beautiful things about being on YouTube is that you can be a viewer as much as you are a creator. Ask yourself things like, what do you like in videos? What keeps your attention? What creators do you gravitate towards, and why? Why does this thumbnail work better than this one? Why does this video have more views than this one? And then once you have gotten pretty good, your video quality is up to snuff, you have to work on getting smart. Another very essential stage, because if you don't move on to this, you will be stuck spinning your wheels, creating content, but not really with any sense of direction or purpose. And that's going to make it a little trickier to grow. So in this stage, I feel like it's important to be asking yourself like, okay, what could I do that could help me grow? What video could I create that could get recommended or do really well in search? What video has like viral potential? And I just feel like I'm starting to enter the get smart stage a little bit. I spent a long time in both of the first two stages for sure. This is the stage where I feel like the magic does start to happen a little bit, because you're being a little more strategic. You're thinking more about, okay, like how do I actually create a compelling thumbnail that's unique versus just following the blueprint of every other creator before you. Next little piece of advice I think is underrated, but I think it's critical, and it is to take yourself seriously. Because honestly, if you don't take yourself seriously, nobody else will. You need to believe in yourself before there's any concrete reason why you should. I remember when I was first starting out, and this was before I was getting any comments. My videos were getting like no likes. All my videos were getting way less than 100 views. I remember whenever I would refer to like my audience or be like, you guys, I felt so much imposter syndrome. I felt really just embarrassed, to be honest, because I felt like I was creating content for ghosts, you know? I wasn't getting that interaction and wasn't getting that engagement, honestly, or those views. So it really did feel like I was creating content for a whole lot of nobody, and I felt really silly and not like a real YouTuber. I really felt like I was pretending to be a YouTuber. But even in those early stages, you still need to be able to take yourself seriously as a creator, or you're not gonna last on this platform. The imposter syndrome will hit, but if you really believe and act like you have something to say and your perspective is important and your life is worth watching, people will believe it. But if you don't feel that way or act that way, there's no reason for people to want to watch you. I remember one of the kind of green flags that I got in the early stages that encouraged me that I was doing something right is when I would receive comments that said something like, oh, like I saw one of your videos and I was so surprised to see that you had so few subscribers. I actually found that really encouraging, because to me, that meant that my content and my like camera presence and personality suggested that I was more of an established creator than I actually was. And to me, that was a huge compliment, because if my videos feel like they would be made by someone who did have more subscribers, that's a good sign that I'm on the right track. We're gonna sit down. I'm tired of standing. Something I think is very important is not to play it safe. Don't play it safe. Learn the rules and then break them. I feel like this is key in honestly anything creative. It's important to learn the rules first, right? So like learn what makes a good thumbnail, what makes a good title, how to do SEO. It's great to watch the YouTube tips videos and learn the strategies, but once you've mastered all of that, you need to be comfortable breaking those rules and taking some frickin' risks. And this is something that I'm still trying to work on rewiring, because I got so used to focusing on, okay, what is the right thumbnail for this video? What is the right title? And I got so attached to this idea of doing things right that I wasn't really being very creative. And at the end of the day, YouTube is a creative platform, and there's so much content on this platform that people want something new and different and creative and exciting. And if you can differentiate yourself and bring some creative inspiration to the table, that's going to be a game changer for your channel. I talked about this a little bit in my 1 year on YouTube video. I described it as learning to follow your gut sometimes, and I think I was like just scratching the surface of the iceberg. Now I don't view it as my gut so much as like letting myself get inspired and play and just like be creative, kind of tapping into inspiration or my higher self and letting myself kind of flow with that. When you're having fun with your content and you're being really authentic and genuine, it shows and it's infectious and people want to watch you more. It really comes down to getting over the fear of just kind of trying new things. And to be honest, when you are trying new things, when you experiment with your content, sometimes it'll fail. You're taking risks. It's not always going to pay off or hit in the way that you want it to, but other times it can succeed beyond like your wildest expectations. And this goes back to the like get smart part of the journey, where once your videos are consistently good, you do need to bring in some of those risks and try and go for those like big hit videos if you want to grow. Whenever I think about this, I always am reminded of a story from Lynette Adkins, who is a very successful creator on YouTube, and she talks about how for years she was creating solely college advice content because that was the safe videos for her. She knew that the college advice videos would get 1,000 views per video, and she wanted that consistency, that guaranteed performance. But then there was a moment where she was like, okay, yes, I'm consistently performing decently, but I'm not growing. I'm not having these like big successful videos. So why don't I just like try making something I'm passionate about, or try this like unique thumbnail that I'm not really seeing other creators do? And once she let go of like doing everything the safe way and started letting herself have a little more fun with her channel, expand what she was talking about, once she did all of that, her channel took off. And I feel like I've heard this from a lot of creators, that they were trying to force their growth. They were straining, they were forcing things and not being super authentic. And once they kind of leaned back, allowed themselves to get into flow and just be inspired and creative, things changed very quickly. I think it's important to know that not every video needs to be a hit, and this will empower you to take risks once you get over this idea that every single video needs to be your best performing video ever. There's always going to be videos that do less well than the rest. That's literally just the nature of posting on the YouTube platform. It is impossible to have growth after growth after growth on every single video, and it's okay. As a viewer, one of my biggest pet peeves that I see creators doing is when they have a video, it doesn't do very well, so then they change the thumbnail and the title a million times trying to get that video to perform better. To me as a viewer, that just comes across as them not being confident in their content. I really appreciate when creators just kind of own it, and if a video doesn't perform as well, it's not a big deal. They just leave it as it is and it's done, and they move on to the next video. And every once in a while, like I'll try one change of the title or something to try and help a video out, but ultimately I try not to mess with things too much once they're posted, because you can waste so much time trying to like resurrect old videos, when I think at the end of the day, your time is probably better spent just starting a new video or working on fresh content instead of trying to recover a video that might not have performed as well. At the end of the day, a badly performing video really doesn't mean anything, and for me, they almost always come before an absolute banger of a video. I don't know the science behind that, but it's just a fact. Another little word of advice that I think I lost sight of, and it's really easy to lose sight of when you get too caught up in the numbers and growth, I think it's important to indulge in the creative process. You are creating. Every single time you make a YouTube video, you are doing something creative. You are putting art out into the world. I think something that can really help keep you encouraged and having fun with YouTube, even when the numbers aren't there, is allowing yourself to really view yourself as a creative and having fun with that and indulging in that, and really express that in your content. And don't be too concerned about, okay, but if I include this cool shot, will it mess up my audience retention? Like, who cares? Sure, there's the Mr. Beast approach to YouTube where everything needs to be super quickly cut and the video needs to be so fast paced that nobody clicks off. But that to me is so suffocating. Yes, you can take that very scripted, extremely type A approach to YouTube, but you can also like let yourself have fun and express yourself and try new things. And to me, that's like the more appealing side, and the side that resonates with me me more authentically as a viewer as well. Especially if you do want people to fall in love with your personality and you want to be people's comfort channel and things like that. I think it's important to let your personality really shine through and not make things overly forced or edited, but instead to really show your authenticity, because authenticity is in and you might as well show it. I think an amazing example of this is Maddie Drosbeck, who is a creator that I absolutely love. I watch every single one of her videos. I devour her content. What I think makes her so special as a creator and helps her do so freaking well on the platform is her videos feel different. Not only from everything else on the platform, but also even amongst each other. Like, she's not afraid to try out new fonts and experiment with editing and like do all these cool, crazy shots. Like, she is always reinventing and experimenting and genuinely like being a creative. That's her secret sauce. That's what makes her stick out on the platform and do so well. And I think we can all kind of learn from that, because watching a Maddie Drosbeck video, it is very, very clear to me that she's not obsessing over the analytics. She's not thinking of her videos in this formulaic, forced way. She's just creating what feels good and she likes, and it works because she's being authentic. Authenticity is in. We are over the age of clickbait, formulaic videos. Bring your personality and your secret sauce to the table. All right, the last little thing that I want to say is just that every YouTube journey is different. And I used to roll my eyes when creators said this, because I was always like, you know, it's easy for you to say over there with your thousands and thousands of subscribers, and I'm struggling to get 100 views over here. God damn these planes! Oh my God. But over time, I've really realized that keeping this in mind is key to maintaining your sanity on YouTube. And it really is true. Like, if I look at the YouTube journeys of creators that I love, they're different. Like, it took people a different amount of time to hit different milestones. My hand is shaking. Oh my God. Growth is extremely unpredictable. And while this can be frustrating, it also can be very exciting, because you never know when your channel or your next video is going to pop off or go viral. For me, growth has not looked like a super steady upwards trajectory. My income has not been increasing month over month. Even my views have not been increasing month over month. And I feel like I saw a lot of journeys that did look like that. But for me so far, it's been a lot more like roller coaster like. I've had moments where I've had a video do really well and things looked like they were on the way up. And then I've had dry patches where for months, none of my videos were going off like that. And that's just kind of what my journey has looked like so far. It hasn't been linear. It hasn't been predictable. It's been insane and all over the place. That's okay, because every YouTube journey is different. And just because mine doesn't look like some other creators doesn't mean that I'm not going to grow. And doesn't mean that I can't be successful on this platform too. Thank you guys for those of you who have joined me in the past year or in the past 2 years and have been with me on this journey. I'm so grateful for the people who are in my comments, who are engaging with my content, who are saying the sweetest things. I am so happy that you guys are here and that I have your support. If you are subscribed to me, or even if you're just watching this video, I just want to thank you so much. So here's to another year, and I can't wait to see where we're at after 3 years on YouTube. Hope you enjoyed the video. I love you. Bye.